And he said, well, there was some mess up on my financial aid help and all this kind of stuff. And anyhow, so he finally said, listen, I think it's probably gonna be best that you leave. And I said, well, okay, I'm good with that. So I went back to my dorm and loaded my stuff up and I left and didn't tell my roommate, Monty, I didn't tell him bye, I just left. And the crazy thing about it is I didn't think to go back and drop my classes. So all of my classes show that I failed. Well, I didn't fail, I left. So, but it changed my whole philosophy of the way college is. And our kids gone to college, and we have 3 children, Gloria and I do, and 10 grandbabies. And so our advice to them now is this: don't quit like me. Make them kick you out. So this is the way I look at it. I believe sometimes that I want my children and I want your children to get a great education. I want that to happen. And I think it's wonderful that we all have degrees hanging on the wall that says I have a degree in accounting, a degree in medicine, a degree in plumbing, or whatever it may be. But the most important thing is I think that we need to make sure our young people understand is they need a degree of desire. A degree of desire to be something better. A degree of desire to make something fuller. If you have that degree of desire, to me, I think it's better than having a degree hanging on the wall. Not that it's not important to have that degree, because I'm glad Paul's got a degree as a doctor. I'm glad of that, because he's changed a lot of people's lives. I understand that. But for me, that's what it was for me. I had a desire to be a professional children's entertainer and to make an impact on the world in that way, because that was my desire. And I thought it was something else when I was going to college. And that's what this dean saw in me, that this is not for me. And he saw it. However, and to this day, I owe him a ton of gratitude, because he opened my eyes, and because I was really struggling in college. I was really struggling, and he saw that, and he recognized that, and he knew that he's not going to make it, because in 5 weeks, I hadn't done squat. And he knew I wasn't going to do it anymore. So anyhow, it was just great, but it was just a wonderful thing for me, a great present for me and everything. So, but thank you for that. Any other questions, you guys?
I did want to mention that when we were doing our whole park build, Chester completely took over all of the entertainment that we had going. And in fact, when we had the building during that week, he had all the children of all the volunteers, and we had 2,000 volunteers. All the kids went over to his farm, and he and his crew entertained them. So, we have pictures of just mobs and mobs of kids all over his place. Yeah.
It was wonderful.
And I also want to mention that you were the Thunder something. What was your job?
I was the official family entertainer for the Oklahoma City Thunder from 2008 to 2012 for the Oklahoma City Thunder when they first were moved to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
What did that mean? Did you coordinate?
No, any Thunder. I was at all the home games, and I wasn't in clown makeup at that time either. I was just walking around doing magic and kind of like an ambassador for humor. The coach would have that, but no, they picked me. And but I would appear at all the basketball games, and then if they had a private function for their families or something for the community, like if they were going to be opening up, where they would come in and redo a gymnasium or something like that for one of the schools, then I would go over there at the school and be part of that Thunder representation for them.
Who was your favorite player?
At the time, probably my son. My son was an executive with the Thunder too.
Oh.
I didn't want to play it. My son Russell. Really, I didn't really have a favorite, but probably, Kevin Durant was a really wonderful, nice man to me, and my son at the time was in charge of guest relations for the Thunder, and He did, by the way, go to college and get a degree. So he didn't listen to his dad. So. But my son and I actually, this is kind of a cool thing, just a little trivia. So if you ever had this question on Jeopardy, you know the answer. My son, and he was an executive with the Thunder, and they have secret shoppers. You guys know what secret shoppers are?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, they have an organization out of Arizona, I was told, that go to the games, and they secret shop all the people that work for the Thunder, how they are treating their fans. And I'm sure all of us have been to a Thunder game one time or another here, so they really, the emphasis they put on the fact that it's a basketball game, but you can see a great basketball game most of the time. But for them, it's more than just that, it's an experience. And so my son was in charge of guest relations with the Thunder, and that's his degree and that he got from college. And anyhow, so they secret shop my son through one of these contacts that they make, as well as myself. And at the time, I was just doing magic and balloons for the kids up in the stands in Loud City and in the hallways and what have you. And unbeknownst to me, somebody came to me, and I had no idea who it was. Now they could have asked me if I knew where the hot dogs were. I don't know. But we are the only father-son team that was that got they called it like an A+ award, and we were recognized one time during the halftime of the Thunder games. As that in all the NBA, we were the only father-son team that on the same night they got the same response and all that stuff. So it was kind of a cool thing. So when somebody asked me, that's what I always say to my son, because him and I were on the court together at that time.
Nice.
But hey, we also want to let you guys know that we are also more than just a party barn. My wife and I, we own an agency where we book out other entertainers to do event planning and things of that nature. So if you need clowns or jugglers or magicians or face painters or caricature artists, we provide a lot of those types of entertainment for a lot of organizations. Matter of fact, we do such a wonderful job of that. My former event coordinator was stolen from me by the city of Piedmont. The city of Piedmont hired our company to put together the 4th of July celebration for the last 2 years, basically. And they liked what we were doing, and so they ended up offering her a job because I couldn't give her insurance.
Right, all the
That
benefits.
was the tipping point. So, anyhow. So
She runs the Easter egg hunt
and
too.
she runs the Easter egg hunt here in Piedmont now, which was a great thing, and she was supposed to be here tonight.
She called and said yes, she was going to be here. So something came
her
up.
name's Lou Ann, so if you see her, she's now the event coordinator for the city of Oklahoma, for the city of Piedmont. So she's going to do a wonderful job. She's going to bring a lot of great programs and a lot of great events to our community for sure. Because we like to say she was taught by us.
So you still get dressed up as a clown?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
I was telling somebody earlier that I have a Chester the Clown experience, supposed to have had a Chester the Clown experience this coming Saturday night. Then this happened last night, so I'm not going to be able to perform because I can't do balloons and magic coming up to do a magic rope trick. You're going to have to go with me. But anyhow, so I still get makeup. So I have that one and then a couple other ones between now and Christmas and everything. But I just turned 72, so no, I'm just teasing.
No, you didn't. Congratulations.
You do 500 performances a
You're
year.
59.
Yeah, I did. I just turned 60.
Oh, okay.
We service about 500 clients a year. Our company does. We do 500. We don't do 500 events, but we service about 500 clients. Because on the same day, we could do 7 events. Does that make sense? Because you could be calling me for a magician at your grandbaby's birthday party. You could be calling me for somebody to do some face painting at your church deal. You could be calling me for your bachelor party. You could be calling me for whatever. And so we provide a lot of different entertainers. So don't be calling me for a bachelor party because I don't dance.
But you do have a wedding venue now.
Yeah, we're opening up a deal called Chesterfield. We've been working hard. Matter of fact, we were just talking about this chandelier. We thought that might be kind of cool in our new wedding.
Yes.
So
It's for sale.
it's kind of been a work in progress for us for the last year and a half or so, where we've taken some, one of our barns and converted it into a wedding venue, and so we've done some weddings already. Matter of fact, I had a call today for a wedding, so we're wanting to really open that up to be a great, wedding, location, destination for us and everything, to be able to offer that to everybody in the community as well too. Thank you, Paul.
I have one more question.
Sure thing.
I'll quit in a minute, but you're interesting.
Well, thank you.
On your Ronald McDonald,
Uh-huh.
just a little bit on that. Where all did you go, or what kind of experience did you have?
Well, that's a great question. When I was Ronald, I went everywhere. But what happened was, in the whole situation is, I was the official backup for Ronald. And McDonald's, they have what they call the field Ronald, and they had the TV Ronald. I was not the TV Ronald. I was the official field Ronald, which made all the appearances out in the field. Jack Delpke, who was the TV Ronald, guy out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, he's the one that made the TV commercials, and he was the one that was at the White House and did the egg roll for the White House egg hunt, things like that, Macy's parade. That was Jack. But if you saw a Ronald at a store or at a grand opening of a restaurant or at a school, then that was me, if you were in that time from 1997. So I just traveled all over and just did appearances around for Ronald McDonald houses, opening of new stores or whatever. I actually was awarded an alien, which is like the key to the city of dignitaries that come to the community in Roswell, New Mexico. I have it hanging in my clown room at our house.
Nice.
I did a grand opening for Roswell, New Mexico, the McDonald's that they built this new one. So I remember I flew in there, got in there, and
Did you fly in a spaceship?
I did. Pretty far. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I didn't even call. But I got there and I had to do this deal called it's called an on-lot show. You do a show on the lot of the McDonald's, and I remember walking up there, and the thing with the McDonald's, you can't tell anybody you're Ronald McDonald when you're Ronald McDonald. I mean, my family didn't know for 2 years.
Wow.
I mean, my banker did. My neighbors, I was living in Yukon at the time, they thought I was a drug dealer. He got a nice car, but he never works. He never works. He's always going. He's going here, he's going there. But he got me doing drugs. So, anyhow, everything was so top secret. Every place I went when I was Ronald McDonald, I had to have an escort. I mean, I went through an FBI, CIA, NBC, ABC, background check, you name it. I mean, and unbeknownst to me, when they were talking to me about this, and we were negotiating out a contract, I had no idea that they were doing all that kind of stuff. But they called my fourth grade teacher, and I mean, just crazy stuff. And I had old neighbors that I had. I mean, I was like, this is wild. But on their behalf, though, I mean, you're portraying a multi-billion-dollar organization, and they want to make sure they got a credible individual that's going to be in there to not tarnish that logo. Matter of fact, at the time, Ronald was the second most recognizable character in the world when I was Ronald. So there's a lot of pressure riding on me, and a ton of red tape that you couldn't do a lot of things. Like I had to be real, and every place I went, like I said, I had to have an escort. Every place, I mean, from especially if I was going to a festival or something like that, they would always have somebody walking with me, escort, because it was just like, I mean, it was crazy. But I had to make sure that if I'm taking a picture, I had to make sure I wasn't standing in front of a Budweiser sign and just crazy things like that, or a poster from Burger King or and so there were just things you had to watch out for. But every town I went to, I had a different escort. So some of those escorts knew that and they could help in that, but some of them didn't. And if it got back that I stood in front of something like that, then I could get in hot water and all this stuff. And so I was pretty lucky I didn't get, but there were some crazy things because when I had flown into Oak Brook, Illinois, where McDonald's Corporation's world headquarters is. And I had sat through this, like 3-day seminar on the do's and don'ts of being Ronald. And they talked about this crazy things that you have to be aware of, because most people looked at McDonald's as deep pockets, which some people still do today, But there were so many things you had to be aware of about the way that some people will set Ronald up to be able to file a lawsuit. And they told me about this one particular deal that took place someplace out in California or someplace, where this mom, Ronald, was doing an on-lot show like I was telling you I did a while ago. And the guy that was doing it before me, he was standing on the back of this big old 40-foot trailer, and he was about 3 foot, 4 foot off the ground. And so it was after the show, and so after the show, everybody, they take pictures and get autographs and what have you. So this mom comes up and she has a little toddler in her hand, and she takes the toddler and says, "Hey, Ronald, will you take a picture? Take a picture with my baby." So she reaches up and gives the baby to Ronald. So he picks the baby up and he's holding the baby like this, and they take the picture. And so the baby's probably 16 months old, just walking a little bit, standing on its own kind of deal, but yet not a long time. Anyhow, so he takes the picture, and he's reaching down to give the baby back to the mom like this, and the mom's got both of her arms stretched up like this to grab the baby. And then right when the mom reaches up to grab the baby, he thinks the mom has the baby. She steps back and pulls her arms back and starts screaming, "Ronald dropped my baby, Ronald dropped my baby." And he sees this, and then and she just, and everybody's just jumping back, and then she's making this massive scene, and then he jumps off and dives down and catches the baby by one arm, because the baby's falling to the ground, and then that he falls down and catches the baby, and then the escorts jump in, and but simple things like that we always had to be aware of and always had to be watching out for. So there's story after story that they told me to be aware of and to watch out for and what have you. So but it was just crazy stuff like that I had to be aware of, and my son, I remember one time I was going to Lawton, Oklahoma to do a show for a store down there, or in representative of the store down there, and I took my son with me down there, and he thought I was known as Chester the Clown, so it was kind of cool that he was like, "Holy smoke, Dad, you really?" "Yeah, I really am." But one time I was in New Mexico. We were driving. If you ever driven in New Mexico, it's a beautiful drive, but it goes forever. So I was driving from Clovis, New Mexico, or from Tucumcari, New Mexico to Clovis, and had not seen a soul. And I had been driving now for an hour and a half, whatever. I was clipping along about 70, 75, 80 miles an hour. Finally, I see a car coming up, and the lights are on, and boom, we pass each other. It was Highway Patrol. He flipped his lights on, turns around. I'm like, holy smoke. I hadn't seen anybody. The only one I see is a Highway Patrol. He pulled me over, and remember, they thought I was a drug dealer. So he comes up, and I'm traveling in this big Suburban that's just packed full of boxes and all this kind of stuff.
Oh dear.
And so I pull up and pull over. He walks out, he's shining the light on me and all this kind of stuff and everything. And I'm not supposed to tell anybody that I'm Ronald McDonald. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? I'm gonna tell this guy that's why I'm not speeding. He's not gonna give me a ticket. I'm thinking nobody's gonna know at corporate office I'm gonna do this. So I'm not gonna get a ticket. And so he comes up and he's looking around. He's starting to tell me, "Well, why are you out here? Who are you?" And all this kind of stuff. I said, "Well, I'm Ronald McDonald." Like some smarty britches on me here, you're real clown, you don't know really, I really am Ronald McDonald, I really am. And he goes, yeah, prove it, like, hey, okay, let me. So I started pulling out props, and I pulled out my wig and my clown shoes, and he was like, oh, you really are Ronald McDonald, you know. So he instantly became a 5-year-old. I mean, it was just so fun. So I'm thinking my whole time, oh man, this is great. I'm not gonna get a ticket here. So I mean, I'm showing him pride. Well, tell me this. Well, what about this? You know, what about the grimace? And what about? I mean, I'm thinking this. I got this guy right where I want him. You know. And sure enough, I said, well, you know, we're there 45 minutes now. Nobody has passed it. I mean, just me and him. We're just out there in the middle of the country talking, you know, about McDonald land and just, you know, having a fun time. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, it's gonna save me $100 or whatever. And then he says, well, son, I've been here a long time. I gotta write you a ticket. I'm like, we just talked all this time. So he said, but I'm gonna cut it in half. So he still gave me a $40 ticket. You know? So I was like, okay, that sounds great. But come to find out, I was going to the same school he lived in Clovis, his son and daughter went to. And he thought that was him. He was great. So that next day, I'm at school, and in walks, and I'm at the school. I have to get makeup in the dressing room and the auditoriums or wherever, you know, because I have to find a private place. And then they had my escort outside. Well, all of a sudden the escort sticks her head in there and she says, hey, there's a highway patrol officer out here wanting to talk to you. And she goes, yeah, he said he needs to talk to you. And holy smokes, I'm right in the middle of getting clown makeup. I got a show to do in 10 minutes. I'm like, well, what's he want? Sure enough. So it's that guy. And he says, hey, I'm here because my kids don't believe that I know you. And all he said, just shout out my name so my kids will really know that I know you. I said, okay, that'd be great, you know. And so sure enough, he came out and I said, hi, Officer Riggs, whatever his name was. And, you know, and he was giving me a thumbs up. The kids were like, my dad really knows Ron. So it was great. But that night I had to do a show, an appearance at the McDonald's, the local McDonald's there. And he shows up at that with his buddies this time. So there's like 3 of these highway patrol guys there, and so we got dressed in the back of the place, and it was so crazy. All of a sudden, they were about to introduce me, and come to make my appearance into the McDonald's and into the on-lot show and everything like that. And 3 armed highway patrol guys go walking out there with all these little kids, and they're all walking, and I got this entourage, you know, of these armed guards, you know, protecting me. It was a crazy experience, but it was such fun things like that. They were great memories for me, and I can just, imagine that for these guys, it's something they're gonna be able to tell their kids forever and ever, you know.
Right.
You write a book.
Well, that's what they tell me.
Yes.
Where did you meet your wife?
Well, we met at church actually. She was married to another gentleman that passed away, and I had gone through a divorce, and so she saw something in me. And anyhow, the next thing we know, we were married. So then we dated for several months or several years, and then we probably should get married. And we ended up eloping, thinking that our kids wouldn't. So we went over to Rica Springs and came back, and the kids like, we knew you guys were going to do that. So Gloria has 2 children, and we don't, in our family, we don't say step or stepdad, stepchildren. We just say they're our children, and so that's why I said we have 3 children together and 10 grandbabies, and but yeah, it's great, So we've known each other for 20-some years, been together. Been married 5 years, going on 6. We dated about 3-4 years prior to that and all that stuff. So, yeah, life is great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.